Welcome to the Perkins Coie Emerging Company Video Seminar Series. This is our fourth of 6 videos discussing the initial steps necessary for an emerging company to get off the ground. We're going to talk about the day-to-day stuff. It's sort of an amorphous category, things that we've seen our companies struggle with in the first days and the ways in which we help support those initial challenges. But before I get into the substance there, let me just give you a little background on Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie is an Am Law 100 law firm with approximately 700 lawyers in our 13 offices in the United States and 2 offices in China. My name is Buddy Arnheim. I am the chairman of our Emerging Companies Specialty Group, which is a group of approximately 80 lawyers that spend most, if not all, of their time working with emerging companies. And emerging companies, in our minds, are companies that are pursuing perishable market opportunities and tend to have several similar characteristics. First, they're all growing very, very fast in order to take advantage of that perishable market opportunity. Second, they typically seek outside funding, external funding, in order to fund the initial product development and market entry. And last, perhaps most importantly, they are typically built around 2 core assets: the human capital moving the business forward and the intellectual property around which the business is being built. So in this fourth video, let's talk about day-to-day things. And this runs the gamut from immigration, when employees are being brought over from foreign jurisdictions, to in-licensing of technology or joint development, to finding a lease and finding office space and setting up bank account and payroll services and so forth. And I'm not going to talk in detail about any of these topics other than to highlight them. Companies, when they get going, they get formed, as we talked about in Seminar 1, and they establish the founder's relationship, which was what we talked about in Video 2, and they establish the relationship with other employees, which is what we talked about in Video 3. They often need to then get going on the business. They need to set up a bank account. They need to create payroll processing. They need to get benefits. They need oftentimes to help their employees or their consultants deal with immigration laws. Maybe get H-1B visas if they're moving in from a foreign jurisdiction, or other types of work permits. They oftentimes have some seminal intellectual property but need to build upon that, and may build upon that with their own individual employees or may do it with another firm. They might have a web firm that helps them design their website. They might have some intellectual property from the open source community that they in-license, and they want to make sure that they're adhering to the licensing terms of that open source. These are all important issues, and each company, again, will have its own unique needs here. But what I would say as the takeaway in this video is that you should be taking advantage of your advisory network, your legal counsel, and your other advisors in order to make sure on these initial steps that you're doing things correctly, efficiently, and in a way that's going to help scale the business. We are going to talk about in Seminar 5 IP hygiene, but let me just highlight for you right now the importance of making sure that the company's intellectual property is well documented and the ownership of that intellectual property is well understood. It's going to be critical when you procure outside funding to have that nailed, and of equal importance when and if there's a liquidity event on the startup company, on the emerging company, the intellectual property is going to be the paramount issue that needs to be well defined and well understood before that transaction can transpire. Anyway, thank you for joining. Again, we were going to talk in more detail about intellectual property hygiene and strategy in Seminar 5.